So you know how you're getting to Ireland, but how are you getting around once you get there? Today I'm covering all your transportation options in Ireland. Hi, thanks so much for joining me again here on the Traveling in Ireland podcast. Today I am continuing the Planning Your Ireland Vacation series that I began back in episode 124. If you're a new listener, you may want to pop back to the beginning to get all of the tips. For today's episode, we're talking about how to travel around Ireland, and we're going to talk about trains, buses, boats, and automobiles. Because when you're deciding how to travel around Ireland on your vacation, you have a few things to consider. You're thinking about how long your vacation is going to last, what you want to see and do, how much you want to control the route you take, and your budget. All of these play into the final decision on how you're going to get around Ireland. I just want to remind you that the My Ireland Vacation Planner and Journal follows the exact steps I use to plan my own Ireland travels and tours, and it does include a transportation section. So you're going to find planning, itinerary, travel tips, and a journal, and it leads you through the exact steps to plan the Ireland vacation that you've been dreaming about. You're going to find easy to use worksheets, loads of advice, and fun journaling prompts to help you remember your magical Ireland vacation. Visit IrelandFamilyVacations.com/Ireland Planner, and don't forget to use code podcast10 to save 10%. All right, we're jumping into how to get around Ireland, and we're starting with trains. Now, when you're using trains in Ireland, it's really best to remember that Dublin is kind of the hub of train travel, and that's on the east side of the country. So everything kind of goes out of Dublin. And sometimes if you want to go from one place to another, you're going back to Dublin and then out again. Trains in Ireland travel from Dublin to Ireland's major cities, and the smaller towns in between may have stops. You want to consider using the train if your main plan is to explore urban areas, a few days in one and then off to the next. Trains are ideal. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that if you want to explore outside of that town or city, you need to be prepared to hire a taxi, walk, rent a bike, or take a day tour. If you're in a larger city, that could be an option. Day tours out of Galway will take you to the Cliffs of Moher, or Connemara, you can get out to the Aran Islands. Day tours out of Killarney will take you to the Ring of Kerry or the Dingle Peninsula. Day tours out of Cork City can take you to Middleton, to the Jameson Distillery, Blarney Castle, Cove, places like that. And of course, there are loads and loads of day tours that go out of Dublin. In the Republic of Ireland, you have Irish Rail, and in Northern Ireland, it's Northern Ireland Railways. Now, the two connect in Belfast, and a ticket from Belfast can get you to Dublin, and a ticket from Dublin can get you to Belfast, but you're not going to be able to book Northern Ireland travel past Belfast on Irish Rail, and vice versa if you're going out of Belfast. Now, if you decide to use rail as your main mode of transport, Irish Rail has tourist rail options, and you're going to find links, as always, in the show notes. So if you want to get all the information, be sure to click over. You'll also see a rail map of Ireland to give you an idea of where the trains do go. Now, traveling through Ireland by bus, it's a lot more extensive, but I want you to think about a couple of things. Number one, if you're traveling by rail, you're probably going to find yourself on a bus sooner or later just because the trains don't go everywhere. And both Irish Rail and TransLink, which is the over company for Northern Ireland Railways, have combination tickets for bus and train transport for when you want to visit locations the train doesn't go. So again, check the show notes for those links. Dublin and Belfast both have very superior, really terrific in-city transport. And then Ulster Bus and Bus Éireann can get you to most towns around both the Republic and Northern Ireland. Bus travel is incredibly affordable, but it's slower. It's a lot slower. So if you're planning to go from, let's say, Dublin to Killarney, that's going to be almost a full day trip unless you're on an express bus. So do your research on how far, kind of how the buses run, what kind of bus you want to use, and where it goes and how many stops it has. You're also going to find a lot of private bus companies, and these are more direct transport than Bus Erin. So a few to keep in mind are CityLink, Aircoach, Expressway, and GoBus. There are also some regional bus routes, and TFI, or Transport for Ireland, is a really good place to find that information. Now, I want to pop in and just make a mention of Ireland vacation packages here, because many Ireland vacation packages, the ones that combine airfare, accommodations, and transportation, often include coach travel. So obviously a private tour bus. You want to really do your research on Ireland vacation packages to see if that package is right for you. And in the show notes, you're going to find a link to help you decode Ireland vacation packages before you buy. So let's talk about boats for a minute, because this is kind of a funny one. Ireland's an island. So you'll have port cities, right, along the country. So while you can't really tour Ireland by boat, you can be on a cruise that goes around Ireland and stops in places like Cork and Dublin and Belfast and Derry, maybe Galway, Westport. I'm not exactly sure of the routes anymore, but you can kind of hop around Ireland on a cruise ship. You can also hire a boat and vacation on the Shannon River, which is the longest river in Ireland, and that will give you a really great vacation as well. But all the exploring when you get off the boat would be on foot or on a tour or with a private guide. So you can't really tour Ireland by boat, but you can utilize a boat when you're visiting Ireland. Another thing that you'll probably experience is a ferry service near the coast. Shannon Ferries, which crosses the River Shannon from County Kerry to County Clare, is probably the most well-known. And a lot of the coastal areas have boat trips of all sorts. So you're going to find eco tours or whale watching tours, dolphin tours, small tours on a rigid inflatable boat or a rib. Those are really, really fun. So you can add boats to your Ireland transportation. It's just probably not going to be your main Ireland transportation. And then there's driving in Ireland. Now, the idea of driving in Ireland does strike fear into some people. Driving on the left or the wrong side of the road, roundabouts, narrow winding roads. But it really does provide absolute freedom to follow your own path, change direction when you spy one of those really intriguing brown signs, and visit so many places that trains and tour buses just don't go. Now, driving and car rental is something that is covered extensively on this site, and it's something that I'm going to talk about more in depth in the next podcast episode. But before that, I want you to just remember a few things. Most visitors to Ireland do not need an international driving license. Your valid national driver's license is usually all you need. If you have questions on this, ask your car rental company if you need any clarification. In the Republic of Ireland, speed is measured by kilometers per hour, and in Northern Ireland, there are miles per hour. It's unlikely that your speedometer covers both, so just kind of know the difference. Motorways in Ireland are modern and wide. National roads, however, have two distinctions, primary and secondary, and sometimes they're hard to tell apart. They may be nice and wide. They may be more like a regional road. So once you get onto anything that's not a motorway, know that roads are going to be more narrow. They may need another coat of pavement. I've been on some roads that start as a paved road and they just kind of disintegrate from there, and they end with kind of two tire marks with grass up in between. Those are the best roads in my opinion, but I love driving in Ireland. The Republic of Ireland does have a few toll roads. Most can be paid on site. However, the M50 around Dublin is the exception. It is barrier free. You can pay that toll online, or you can go to a gas station that offers a pay zone. payment portal, and you can pay it there. Northern Ireland has no toll roads. Road signs in the Republic of Ireland display place names in both Irish and English. And in the Gaeltacht regions, only Irish is used. So in Dingle, the far west of Connemara, there's a spot down in County Cork, some places in Donegal. Those are all Irish-speaking areas, and signs will only be in Irish. Now, you can visit the show notes for more information on driving and car rental in Ireland. And like I said, we're covering it a little more in depth in the next podcast. One more thing I want to mention about driving in Ireland is if you don't want to drive, there's always the option of hiring a private driver guide. It still gives you the ability to blaze your own trail. And you can choose to have a chauffeur for your entire vacation, or maybe you just want to use them for a day trip of a place that everybody really wants to enjoy the amazing scenery and the views. To get the most out of your experience, be sure that your driver is a certified tour guide. They're going to be able to fill you in on the location and the history of Ireland and answer all your questions. If you're hiring a driver that is only a driver, you might leave feeling a little, I don't know, unfinished, I guess. That there were questions they couldn't answer. They didn't give you the information about the area that you really, really wanted to know. So do get a driver guide. To finish this, the trick really to enjoying your vacation in Ireland is knowing how you like to travel. You might find that using multiple methods of transportation really does work for you. Maybe you arrive in Ireland and you're in Dublin, and obviously you do not want a car in Dublin. Dublin's transportation, public transportation, is really exceptional. And you don't necessarily want to drive yourself out of Dublin. So maybe you take the train to Cork or to Galway and you rent your car there, and then you drive, let's say, to Killarney, and you decide, I don't want to drive the Ring of Kerry. So you hire a driver guide just for that day. You really can explore Ireland in a way that fits you without committing really to one thing. You can try them all and have an amazing trip, or you can stick with one and have an amazing trip. So I hope that kind of narrowed down and gave you an idea of your transportation options as you travel through Ireland. I really hope that this podcast helped you kind of understand how you're going to get around Ireland and the options that are available to you. If you enjoyed this podcast, would you please leave a 5-star review at Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts? If you can't leave a review on your podcast app, I would be so thankful if you would go to the Ireland Family Vacations Facebook page and leave a review there. Or if you're on your mobile device, just snap a screenshot and go to your own Instagram account, drop that in the stories with a few kind words, and don't forget to tag me at Ireland Family Vacations. If you have questions or comments, you can always email me, Jody, Jody, at IrelandFamilyVacations.com, and I will respond. As always, thank you so much for listening, and until next time, Slán go fóill.